Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. It is Sunday night live, and we are here. This is the zoo, folks, where we've got the Prepared Mind on YouTube, the Prepared Mind on the other YouTube. We've got subscribestar.com. We've got, Uman's channel. We've got, the preparedmind.club. That's right. www.thepreparedmind.club. That is not just for membership sponsoring the channel. It is a place where you can go to get your prepper needs met. And folks, if you aren't aware of what's going on around the world, you got two things. You got this show, we're going to talk about it so you understand it, and you have the preparedmind.club where you can get started on getting prepared. Now, we don't have warehouses, we don't have a store. It's just a place to go look at items, and there's links to other places, but it helps you think about what you have and what you need in the event of an emergency. Now, let's get into it. Up here, hello, Yankee Watchdog. Up here, we've got the super chat button. That gets you on the screen here with a question, comment, etc. Just kind of like this right here. Yankee Watchdog says, hello, Johnny boy. Well, hello, Yankee Watchdog. That's how you do it. If you've got a question, a comment, a statement, a thought, a joke, an observation, super chat button up here gets you on the screen, and it supports the channel. It makes sure that the pantry, right, is full of tuna fish, Spam. Oh, yeah, lots of pork products, as well as scotch and a couple other items. And speaking of scotch, super chat donations of $50 or more buys me a Glenfiddich 18 year. That is a 18. So we're going to start the show off with one of those. Chin Music has done a $52.23 super chat donation. And here we go. Right here. I'm going to pour that one in the 250th anniversary. You can see that little over full there, buddy. But Chin, I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it a whole lot. Separate vibe, brother. And to all things tried and true, to all things red, white, and blue. God bless America and all nations and peoples who love freedom. Down the hatch. Oh my goodness. That is good. All right. Well, for a $52.23 super chat donation, let's talk about Chin Music's comments. This is a wake-up call, folks. It's a wake-up call, what's going on in the world for everybody. You and me, a lot of us have been preppers a long time, always been patriots, always been good people, but it's coming to a point now where the sleepers, those who are drowsy, those who don't care, they care. They're waking up, and you need to be prepared. So this is what Chin says. And folks, I know Chin Music personally. Good man, good American, good human being, great mind, dedicated, all the things that you think a good person should be. And this is where he is at. He says, I've never been less optimistic about the future of this country. And he lives in Texas. Black people are now openly calling for violence because a black kid killed a white kid and got convicted of murder. Our government is selling us out at breakneck speed because they know we are waking up. We just covered that. He continues, our food system is in jeopardy. Our water resources are being gobbled up for data centers. I'm constantly attacked by Make America Great Again cult members for disagreeing about this war in Iran. There are people who have been on my page for years. They know what I'm about and where I stand on every issue. But just because I'm awake enough to know that Trump jackknifed when he hired Susie Wiles, the Israeli who managed Netanyahu's election, I'm the baddie all of a sudden? I've never seen so many people on both sides in a trance. It is truly scary. This is a minefield of topics. It's a minefield of topics. We got people lining up with super chats right up there. Thank you so much. I'll get to you guys, but first let's finish up with Chin and the commentary. He says, I've never seen so many people on both sides in a trance. I know what he's talking about. When I look at everybody on the left, all I see are mind-numbed robots, retards, and zombies. But when I look over on the right, and Uman has made this comment as well, that the people that are thinking Republican and only Republican, and anything that comes out of the Republican leadership has to be right. It doesn't. It can be wrong as well. It's not you stand with this or you stand with that. It's like stand with this. Because there's a problem with Iran doesn't mean that everyone who says Iran is bad is correct. How about if China said Iran is bad? We'd be like, they're both bad, right? Ukraine and Iran, they're both bad, right? You don't have to take the political leadership side in order to be a thinker. They are in a trance. They're being led. It's propaganda one way, propaganda the other. My thing is be independent. If the left says something, I check it. They're usually retarded. If I hear something coming out of Make America Great Again, Make America Healthy Again, President Trump, the Senate, I don't just take it at face value and believe it. I test it against the information, against my own filter. It's an intellectual filter. It's a spiritual filter. Every filter I've got. And I also check it against the U.S. Constitution. It's so fucking simple. But most people are, and here's the problem, lazy. They want someone else to do the thinking for them and tell them what to believe. Now, here's where I want to give Chin Music a little bit of help. He, like me, is in his 50s. And people 50s and up, older, typically get their news from mainstream media, whether it's CNN or Fox. It doesn't matter. Right? They either get right wing or left wing, and they leave it at that. They just believe it because it's coming from what they consider to be a trusted source. I don't trust any of them because I have noted since 9/11, folks, 25 years ago, that the mainstream media, whether it's Fox or Newsmax or CNN or NBC, it doesn't matter. They're all in the tank for the people that we call the powers that be. Right? The globalist overlords. So I test them all. They'll use the truth. They'll use the facts when it helps their case. Because then they'll say, check out the facts. And then they can say, see, we give you facts. You must believe us. But when they need to propagandize you, they'll give you a couple of facts sprinkled on top of all that horse shit they've got. It's like putting some very fine spices on your shit steak. It's still a shit steak. It's just got spices, right? Making it more palatable? Hardly. Anyways, both sides are in a trance. And here's the deal. Even this channel has that same situation because there are people who are here, and this is one of Uman's gripes as well as Mr. Chin Music, and me as well, and everyone else, all of you that are thinking. It's like if someone believes something, they don't want to hear anything that could disrupt their confirmation bias. That is their belief system that they have, and they don't want to let it go. So people my age and older, they saw Ronald Reagan. They listened to Ronald Reagan. They love Ronald Reagan. So since Ronald Reagan was a Republican and they liked everything Ronald Reagan did, they believe everything Republicans do is just as good as Ronald Reagan. It must be the right way because that's the party of Reagan. Wrong. Wrong. It was hard for me to deal with in the 1990s. It was even harder for me to deal with in the 2000s, and I let it go. I'm like, look, these people are using propaganda, and they sprinkle a little lies, a little facts, a lot of bullshit, and they expect me to just gobble it up. Not doing it. Not doing it. So, like Chin Music, he said, and this is what he says, right? Again, the first line, and it's a great $52.23 super chat donation. Some people love that. Some people hate that. If you don't like this show, you don't have to watch. If you want the truth, however uncomfortable, if you want the facts, however uncomfortable, so you are fully prepared, come here. Now, he says, I've never been less optimistic about the future of this country. And I understand what he's saying from his perspective, but there's another way I think about it. I have never been more optimistic, not less optimistic. I've never been more optimistic about the future of this country, and I'll tell you why. Because people don't realize they're being stolen from. If someone keeps showing them a picture, they hold a fucking picture up in front of their face. I don't have a picture. They hold the picture up in front of their face. And they're like, look at that picture. Look at all your money. Look at how successful you are. You're doing great. And that's all people see is what they're shown. People are now being shown a future that is fucking bleak, that is scary, that is dangerous. And for that reason, and I really appreciate Chin Music's thing because it allows me to play the psychological opposite game. I've never been more optimistic because people are shown how bleak and fucked up and pessimistic and ruined our country is and which way it's heading. So what does that do? It wakes them the fuck up. Instead of them being asleep on the couch, oh, the Republicans will fix this. I'm tired. I don't need to worry about this shit. They're looking around going, oh, shit. Look at all this that's going on. Illegal invaders. Our military is being aligned with the Israeli military. We're food. They're changing the weather. Holy shit. They're poisoning the water. They're giving us vaccines. Where's our fuel coming from? Oh, my God. Look at all this shit going on. So, in a way, Chin Music's absolutely correct. It looks bleak as fuck. It looks less than optimistic, but it's waking people up. And I've told people this for years. Until you wake up, until this nation is woken up, nothing will change. It'll keep in kind of like a daydream, this daydream mentality of just going on in the future. Fuck it, I've got to deal with my life, right? And they're not worried about what's going on. They're not thinking about the United States of America being just destroyed until they start seeing all these different things that are fucked up. And it wakes you up. And now the question is, what do you do about it? So I say in 1725, 50 years before 1776, Benjamin Franklin was writing, complaining, pissing and moaning in his social media of the time called newspapers about everything England was doing, violating their rights, shitting on them, overtaxing them, making life difficult, super regulations, military in their faces, being attacked by foreigners. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Everything we're complaining about today, they dealt with then. But it took 50 fucking years. That is a 5-0, right? Or 5-0. It took 50 years before they finally said, Declaration of Independence, July 4th. And guess what's coming up, folks? The 250th anniversary of July 4th. And we have been putting up with this shit since I was a fucking kid. And I'm 56. Since the 200th anniversary, the bicentennial of America, I started to pay attention as a child. At 10 years old, I was like, holy shit, look at this. I got older. I was like, I need to be a prepper. Age 14, I started prepping, folks. Age 14. Age 17, enlisted in the Marine Corps. Age 18, went in the Marine Corps. Okay. Since then, I've been a fucking prepper, a patriot. I love America. I love freedom. I want it for the world. Here's where we're at, right? I have never been more optimistic about America waking up so we can fix the problem. Now, with respect to black people openly calling for violence because a black kid killed a white kid and then he was convicted of murder in a court of law with a jury of peers, not government agents, but regular people. We have the most ignorant among us, the most un-American among us, people that are entitlement minded, low IQ, angry, stupid. They're now calling for violence against everyone. And it's not just whites, by the way, folks. Remember that nice little black grandmother and great-grandmother who in Atlanta was killed on a train platform by another black person? It didn't matter that she was black or white. What mattered was she was an easy victim. And so this guy fucking murdered her in cold blood. Nobody is safe until we solve our problems, because these people out here feel like they're victims, and they think because they have the same entitlement that all the Hispanic kids and white kids and Asian kids have. All of these young people that have no consequences for their actions. They're entitled to everything, offended by everything, and they think everyone has to kiss their ass. When they don't get their way, they attack. So my recommendation, and we'll stop with this, and thank you, Mr. Chin Music, for the topic, is understand that you are safe around nobody. Nobody. It doesn't matter what your race is, your gender is, you're safe around nobody. You could be the nicest white guy or white chick ever, but if you look weak, if you're not paying attention, you're walking down the street, you can be clubbed by a homosexual, a transgender, any of the minority races, any of the whites, because that's right, liberals, Antifa, communists, anti-Americans. And of course, the people that are pulling the strings at the top, the globalists, wanting all of us to fight with each other for the purpose of us destroying and killing ourselves so they have less population to deal with and they can assume ownership of everything. Oh, we've got some great stuff coming, folks. We've got the Unprepared Mind with a $1.99 super chat donation. And he says SMEAC. You know what's terrible? Is I don't know what the fuck that means. I've been doing everything else tonight. Anyways, thank you, Mr. Unprepared Mind. Typically, when I get a full comment from him, it's some funny shit. It really is. But tonight, I know nothing. I know nothing. Okay, and here we've got Nancy Kegg stepping in with a $20 super chat donation. Super chat button's right up there. And she says, hey, John, your choice of topic tonight. Okay, Nancy, little sister, thank you very much. I've got something, and I'll go with this. I'm going to give you what was going to be my opening statement, but it's going to be my topic. This is how I want to open. Look, folks, I'm anti-white. I'm anti-Semitic. I'm anti-Muslim. I'm anti-black. I'm anti-Hispanic. And again, I'm anti-white. I said it. I admit it twice. I said I'm anti-white twice. So what am I for? I'm not for white people dominating the world. I'm not for the Jews dominating the world. I'm not for anyone dominating the world. So what am I for? What am I pro? What is pro-John? Pro-John is for freedom. Pro-freedom. Any color, any ethnicity, or any religion that is anti-freedom, right? I'm against that, right? I'm against, let me rephrase all that. I'm against any color, any ethnicity, or any religion that is anti-freedom. Yeah, it made a little more sense. I'm against anyone that's pro-slavery or pro-supremacy. Anyone who's pro-slavery or pro-supremacy can fuck off. You are what you are, regardless of color or ethnicity or religion. You just are what you are. And I'm going to call it out by name with no apology for noticing. So if you're black and you're an asshat, I'm going to call you an asshat. You just happen to be black. If you're an Israeli or a Khazar or a fucking Talmudic Jew or Chabad Lubinovich, if I see and hear and learn that you're fucking up, violating the law, hurting people, screwing us over, stealing our freedoms, I'm going to call you out on it. And there's no reason for me to apologize for noticing, for seeing a pattern of behavior. You see what I'm saying? I think we all need to be that way. I work with fucking everybody in construction. Anyone who picks up a hammer, a tool, and builds, makes things, right? I work with all different colors of people, and I don't care if you do your job, right? I don't care. But if you're a fucking pro-supremacy, pro-slavery, I'm better than you, then you can fuck off. Get off my job, right? So I bring what I do in my personal professional life to my social media life. I don't care. Don't be an asshole. And if the rest of the world does that and starts seeing the assholes, you can't just ignore the assholes because now it's too late to ignore. Is that not true, Nancy? Literally, it's if you ignore the evil people, guess what happens? They walk up behind you and they club you in the fucking head like a harp seal. Look, there's people walking down the street, not paying attention. Not even trying to pay attention. And someone runs up and stabs him in the fucking neck. A lady got stabbed in the neck the other day. Luckily, she didn't die. Had to go to the hospital, of course. Always good to sew up a hole in your neck. An Italian lady had her throat slit, left in the street. Irish people are continuing to be beaten and raped by these foreign fucks in their country. England, same story, plus the police. That's right, the cuck law enforcement in England. They'll take a paycheck over using common sense. They'll take a paycheck over being intelligent. They'll take a paycheck over realizing what it is they're doing, promoting, and causing. Point made. Point made. Let's do this. Let's do this. We got Big Dan, the man, Erickson, checking in with a $10 super chat. He says, hey, those data centers don't consume water all the time. It's a closed loop system like your vehicle. After you fill it up, it cools when hot water, then pumps it back in to cool the core. Got my AC on today. All right, I understand what you're saying, Mr. Erickson. So what they do is they circulate the water, right? They'll evaporate off some, cool things off, circulate it again, it heats up, cool it off, and that's the cooling towers. That's the steam you see coming out. But here's where I don't know if you're right or you're wrong. Because what I've heard, what we've seen, what's been reported is they consume, depending on the size of the facility, anywhere from 500,000 gallons a day to 5 million gallons a day on the really big ones. So while they're closed loop a lot of the time, whatever evaporates off, right, they have to replace. That's an incredible amount of water to burn through or to steam off. That is the big issue. It's not whether or not they're closed loop or semi-open loop, right, like an air conditioning system. Because that's what an air conditioning system does is it puts a refrigerant. It's very cold when it evaporates, and that blows the air by it, cools your house down. Then it takes that evaporated refrigerant back outside to the condenser compressor, and it blows the hot air out of it while it compresses it, turns it back into a refrigerant liquid, and sends it back in to be evaporated. The evaporation is where you get your cooling side. So there's a hot side and a cold side. I get it. I understand it. I'm not an HVAC specialist, but the very basics got it. I've worked on enough for enough decades. Here's the deal, though. It's how much they consume overall. They're not 100% water in, whoa, full blast. But over the course of 24 hours, that consumption does add up. Now, the other thing we've heard about, and this is interesting to me, Dan, is how is it that people's water supplies are getting contaminated with toxins, heavy metals, just oddities that are now showing up in the water system. Some people are saying, look, they pump water out of the ground here, they use it, they heat it up, they do their thing, and then they pump it back down into the aquifer. I don't know if that's true or not, but I do know that system, I know about that system because I've seen geothermal power production, and it's called a binary system. Once again, high side, low side, high pressure, low pressure. And they return the water back down into the geothermal pockets where there's lava and water and it's heating it up. They're pumping water back down is what it sounds like to me, based on my experience with these fucking people. And there's actually places in California where they take water on the top out of rivers, collection ponds, and they take it and they re-inject it back down into the aquifer system. Right, so you've got top water above the ground, and then you got layers of soil and rocks and aggregate, and then there's aquifers, underground rivers, and they pump water out. They use it for irrigation, then they take the extra water and pump it back down. Problem with that is you're putting contaminants down in the aquifer system, which cities use for their domestic or drinking water supply. Of course, they treat it, they sanitize it, but what about any chemicals, pesticides, poisons, etc.? I do understand the system needs to be improved, but it's scary business. Anyways, Big Dan, I appreciate the always great support. And let's roll. I think I lost him. Oh, there we go. We got Viking checking in. He says, breaking news. This is great. I love good breaking news, Viking. And he did a $10 super chat donation. Folks, super chat right up here. That button gets you on screen here to report news, opinions, thoughts, predictions, etc. So thank you all, because that keeps the spam on the shelf, keeps the tuna fish on the shelf. Make sure your tuna fish is tuna fish. I actually heard that they're starting to make 3D fish, which is believable because the 3D meat is like slime, and a lot of fish doesn't have a lot of texture. Anyways, make sure your fish, your tuna fish, anything you get is not frankenfood. Anyways, Viking says, breaking news, a deal has been made with the Iranian regime, meaning the government, and the Strait of Hormuz is now open. Gas prices will drop. That is great news. It's not just breaking news, that's great news. What I don't know, Mr. Viking, is that real? Is it temporary? Is it going to stick? That's the problem. Is it going to stick? Because we have a lot of different reports. And I'm going to come at you with this. And I don't doubt you for a second, Viking, because a lot of the news we get is from Associated Press, Reuters, and other news agencies. At least I do. I end up getting news from around the world. I listen to Al Jazeera. I listen to Russia Times. I try and get news everywhere so I can weigh it all. So this is the side of the story I got, Viking. Reportedly, Trump is, we're going to use the quotations, pissed because Israel once again struck Beirut in Lebanon, not Iran, Beirut, Lebanon, which made the Iranian deal less certain. And Trump said this about Netanyahu, quote, has no fucking judgment. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to strongly disagree with President Trump. I believe Netanyahu, leader of Israel, has 100% perfect judgment to exactly what he wants to do. Look, what's good for Israel is not good for America in every single case, or the world. And Israel, or rather Netanyahu and Israel, is doing everything they can to push the Israeli program, the Israeli agenda, which is the Greater Israel Agenda, which creates or increases the size of Israel, which currently is smaller than New Jersey, but they want to take everything south to the Nile River in Egypt, and everything to the east, all the way to the Iranian border, including parts of Oman, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, north. They want to take up north all the way through Lebanon, through Syria, and southern Turkey. It is a massive chunk that Israel wants with their Greater Israel Project. And I believe that, look, Netanyahu is doing exactly what he can to make sure they're still fighting with Iran so he can push for his Greater Israel Project, which has nothing to do with America, our interests, period. It has nothing to do with what we as Americans need. Nothing. It's all about Israel. So I disagree with Trump, right? That he has no fucking judgment. He has perfect judgment, right? Trump is leering, not learning. He's leering what Netanyahu is. And that's it. He's an uncontrollable asshole. The question comes down to this, though, Viking. It sounds like a deal's been made with the Iranian regime based on what you say. And yes, if the Strait of Hormuz is open, gas prices, I don't think they're going to drop immediately, but they can start delivering oil, crude oil. They can start delivering refined products around the world to resupply our depleted bulk tanks. By bulk tanks, I don't mean a 55-gallon drum or a gas tank here and there. I'm talking about tanks that are millions and millions of gallons each. Drive by any refinery. If you've ever driven by a refinery, you'll see tanks, folks, that hold millions of gallons. You'll see dozens of tanks at every refinery that hold millions and millions and millions and millions of gallons. That's called a strategic reserve, right? That's what it's there for. So I'm glad that this deal, and I hope you're correct, and I hope that they seal the deal. But the question is, can Trump tell Netanyahu no more? Can he threaten him to cut you off of money, weapons, support? Because they're being a bunch of genocidal, warmongering assholes. Or is Trump the property and the puppet of Israel and Netanyahu? Okay. And here we go. We're going to go back with the unprepared mind with a $19.99 super chat donation. He says, I thought you might have remembered this SMEEK, right? The 5-paragraph order from the Marine Corps Boot Camp Situation S, Mission Execution, Administration, Logistics, and Command and Control. I think we all know what the situation is. Oh, yeah. I do not remember that. And I've got to remind everyone, look, I'm a Marine. I enlisted for 4 years. I did that way back, folks. Way back in the 80s, the 90s, the aughts, the teens, and we're in the 20s. It's been a long time. I don't remember what SMEEK stood for. It tickled a memory, Mr. Unprepared Mind. But no, I do remember the green book. We called it our knowledge, right? It was that hard, stupid plastic. It was about, 5 inches by 7.5 inches. It fit right in the cargo pocket of your pants, and you had to have that on you all the time, whether we were doing drill or getting fucking bent and thrust at the fucking beach, and it's not the fun kind of beach. So I remember a lot. I just don't remember SMEEK. I don't even remember all of my general orders anymore, man. I will not quit my post until properly relieved. That was my favorite because it was the shortest. Anyways, thanks a lot, man. I appreciate the great support in your super chats. Buttons right up here is how you get on the board, just like the Unprepared Mind. And super chat button. And then, in the description down below, we also have PayPal, CashApp, and Venmo. And that reminds me that our good friend Darcy T has done a $50 PayPal super chat, and it's right here. Gotta make sure I got a line on the inside I follow. Anyways, $50 super chat and more. buys me an 18-year scotch. So here's to Darcy T. Cheers, Darcy. Anyways, thank you, Unprepared Mind. Let's move on to Darcy. And she says, good evening, John. I've been giving some more thought to the trade route blockages in the Strait of Hormuz that we're having due to the conflict between Israel and Iran. And I think that Darcy did a great job there of talking about who is in conflict, right? It is between Israel and Iran, but we've been dragged into it. The United States government's been dragged into it. So, good scotch, good scotch. Anyway, she says, nothing happens globally without a reason. And I am speculating on why this might be happening. There is a $17 billion infrastructure mega project to build a trade route through Iraq, which is moving through the final planning stages. And get this, folks, Darcy identifies it. It's called the Iraq-Europe Development Road. It is designed to serve as a port overland alternative to the Suez Canal, aka Dry Canal. Okay. Its purpose is to completely bypass maritime trade route through Egypt and the Suez Canal and to shave off roughly 2 to 3 weeks of shipping time. It would include building a massive deep water port on the Al Faw Peninsula in southern Iraq called the Grand Faw Port, and approximately 750 miles of high-speed railway and highway systems to move goods from the port through Iraq and on to Turkey and eventually Europe. And I've got to tell you, Darcy, you've touched on something that's been in the works for decades. Decades. They have wanted to run oil pipelines out of the Middle East, but there are countries that are in the way. You've got Iran, Iraq, Jordan, Israel, Syria, right? And then when you get to Turkey, see, everyone whose country that pipeline runs through, they want money. In the world of electricity, when they run power through power lines, they call that a wheeling charge. In other words, they're involved. They want a cut of the action. Now, would it be cheaper to run gas on high-speed rail system, like train cars and pipelines? Pipelines are the most economical way to do it. It is. It's true. It's the most economical way. But for example, the Alaskan pipeline runs from the northern shelf of Alaska all the way through Alaska, and it pops out in Valdez, right? Is that Prince William Sound? Instead of going through Canada, because it would have been more expensive and have to pay a ton of money to the Canadians. So instead, they pump it all into giant tanker ships and they ship it from Port-au-Prince or whatever the fuck it's called. Can't remember now. But they put it on ships and they bring it down to the west coast of America. Right? They ship it a short distance. But either a train, high-speed train, or a massive, and by massive I mean miles-long train cars, or a pipeline. It's faster and cheaper. But look what happens. Pipelines are what? What are the problems with pipelines? They're exposed. They're exposed above ground, and sometimes they go underwater, just like the Nord Stream pipelines. And what happened to the Nord Stream pipelines? At an underwater location, the Russian pipelines, which are called Nord Stream, they had Nord Stream 1, and then they built a second pipeline for Europe to transport oil and gas quickly and inexpensively into Europe. And what did they do? They blew them the fuck up. And by the way, the whole world knows, it is public knowledge. It is not a fucking secret anymore that Ukraine blew it up. There are now countries that are suing Ukraine for blowing it up and costing their country money. And guess what? How are you going to enforce it? How are you going to enforce it? Well, Ukraine doesn't have any fucking money, do they? All their money comes from European nations that want the war with Russia, and the United States of America, which wants the war with Russia, because Israel tells the United States, we want Ukraine to be at war with Russia. It's no longer a secret that Zelensky is an Israeli, that he doesn't give a fuck how many Ukrainians he kills. They want that war. They want to punish Russia. They blew up those pipelines. So, back to Darcy. They want pipelines. They want trains. They want an overland route. But it does leave that pipeline exposed to what? Attacks. Well, yeah, John, I know, man, but the ships can be attacked, and they are being attacked. Yes, you are correct. This is the problem. The problem is people willing to go to war, destroy energy, fight everything, and fuck everyone up. I'm going to go with the Rodney King defense here. Why can't we all just get along? Look, I don't drive anywhere with my hand out the window flipping everyone off. I don't drive around and make people's life hell. I know how to merge in traffic. I know how to cooperate. I know how to ask permission. I know how to say thank you. I know when something's mutually beneficial and when something is hurting me. I avoid those that hurt me, and I work with people that are mutually beneficial. But the people that want to hurt me and you and our nation and our world don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck. And I'm going to give you a prime example. Oh, Darcy, great fucking comment. If you guys have something to say, super chat button right up there. I'll get you on the screen right down here. But Ukraine, guess what they've done? They have gone back in and once again attacked oil in Russia that's above ground, right? Ukraine has hit a state oil reserve way inside Russia, once again blowing shit up, causing a massive blaze, and it's such a big explosion that it's raining fuel, whether it's diesel or gas or kerosene, I don't fucking know. But when you blow something up that's millions of gallons, what goes up must come down, and it's raining fucking petroleum in a part of Russia. But yet again, folks, the Israeli leader that's been put in Ukraine by the CIA and Mossad, Mr. Zelensky, the giant homosexual, they are once again stoking world war, hoping for World War III, hoping to make, well, white Russia fight white Europe, possibly even nuclear war. Thankfully, Putin is no dummy. And thank you again, Darcy T. Putin's no dummy. And I'm sure he's going to respond. But I've wondered the whole time. Is there more than one little Zelensky out there? Like a lookalike, a doppelganger, a twin, right? Dummies. Do they have other Zelenskys that wear Zelensky masks? You just have to find a little scrawny piece of shit, put a Zelensky mask on him, and have him go this way and another one go that way and one go this way and one go that way so that no one knows who and where the real Zelensky is. Because I wonder why Putin hasn't assassinated him, say, with a hypersonic smart missile. By the way, we've got 270 people live right now. Right now. Share the internet address. If you're on YouTube, if you're on X, if you're on Facebook, wherever you're at, share the internet address. We need more people here to spread the word. As we started at the beginning, people need to get out of their confirmation bias, always watching Fox to get the news they need. And Fox is pure propaganda. Or Newsmax. Yes, they have bits of truth, folks. They have facts. But they're telling you, we got this, everything's okay. Everything's not okay. Everything is not okay. I wanted to buy a case of beer. $22 for 12 beer. That's almost $2 a fucking beer. When I was at the RMZ, which is not in the continental United States of America, out in the middle of nowhere, I was getting American craft beer, not shit swill Coors Light, never Bud Light, not even regular Miller, nothing. I got craft beer, good beer at the RMZ out of America for $16 a case. Now I'm paying 22. That's inflation, folks. In America, 22 for a fucking 12 pack, right? That's the inflation. Why did I get on inflation? Because that's what they're doing to us. They're making life more difficult. They really are. They're making life more difficult. Are you prepared? What do you guys want to talk about? Super chat donation button is up here. That's how you get on the screen down here. Thepreparedmind.club is our flagship website. And if you go there and there's a premium button at the top, it's on the right side, I believe. Just says premium. Click on that. That's how you can be here Monday through Friday live, talking, sharing, networking, educating, learning live. But Sunday Night Live, which is tonight, it is the zoo, which means your topics are number one. Your ideas, number one. You support this channel through guerrilla funding, number one. Thank you to all of you guys. And right now we're sitting in neutral. Preparedmind.club is right there. That's where you go to get food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. And here in America, folks, self-defense is becoming critical. I'm looking at what's going on over in Ireland, Scotland, England. I'm looking at what's going on in Germany, France, Spain, Italy. Those nations are having the most, shall we say, social media reporting about what's going on. So, in Ireland, the Irish police are trying to keep the Irish people quiet and subdued. The Irish are fighting like motherfuckers. Up in Scotland, I know the Scottish people have had enough, and they're saying, get the illegals out of here. Get the foreigners out of here. If you're not a Scot, get the fuck out. I don't know much about the police in Scotland, but down in England, folks, down in England, the police are abusing the protesting British people. They attacked a man, arrested his 5-year-old son, even though the mother was right there trying to collect him. They arrested a 5-year-old, beat the ever-loving fuck out of the father, and then maced a cameraman for filming what's going on there. I watched another set of British police. 5 of them grabbed a British man, slammed his head against a metal pole known as a bollard. They stick out of the ground so a car can't drive into an area. It's called a bollard. Slammed him into a bollard so hard that it bent the metal post. The man allegedly is dead. They fucking killed a man for protesting against illegal aliens from third world countries that are fucking anti-white Muslims, and they're killing him. The same way they allowed Henry Nowak to be killed. Oh, by the way, Henry was also a Polish citizen. Henry was a Polish citizen in England. He had dual citizenship, is my understanding. And so now Poland is looking at pressing charges on those police in England for allowing him to die by saying, oh, you say you've been stabbed? I don't think so, mate. Which is now, by the way, a massive meme. I don't think so, mate. You're not allowed to protest. I don't think so, mate. You're not allowed to chase the illegals out of the country. I don't think so, mate. We're in charge of this country, not you. I don't think so, mate. The world is waking up, folks. What do you guys want to talk about? We're almost 1 hour into our normal 2-hour Sunday night live show, and we're live. And there's almost 300 of you people live. I love it. We need to wake up everybody. Now, we used to have a fella named, and I'm not going to use his last name anymore, Vincent, up in Belfast, Ireland. We've got Steve, I'm not going to use his last name, in England. And we've got Bob, I'm not going to use his last name, in Scotland. Vincent, Stephen, Bob in the UK. Tell us what the fuck is going on, guys. Tell us what's going on. I can't follow all the comments. The comments are absolutely just rolling. But I there's too much going on for me to read them all. So you guys know how to get a hold of me. And then over in the continent, we've got Rainy Marsh in the Netherlands. And the Netherlands has been going fucking stupid nuts. But we also have people down south in Australia. Tell us what the hell is going on. The world needs to wake up. The world needs to wake up. Super chat buttons right up there. Tell us what the hell is going on. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about the world waking up. The world is waking up, folks, to the anti-culture, anti-Christian invaders. The world is waking up. Are they not? The World Economic Forum, all of their evil bastards and supporters, they're losing ground right now because of what we're seeing in Ireland and Scotland and England, because of what we're seeing, the people objecting and rejecting the bullshit in France, the people marching in Italy and marching in Germany saying we want freedom, we want our liberties, and we want these illegals, these Muslims, these foreign invaders the fuck out of here. The evil bastards are losing ground. We're not winning, but we're fighting back. And I'm going to put this warning out here right now. This is very important. I am anticipating a false flag internationally now. International false flag. One or more international major attacks. I've been calling for a false flag, folks, in America. But I think that it's gotten so far out of hand that we are pushing back America, Canada, Australia, Japan, France, Portugal, Spain, Italy, Germany, Austria, right? All of these countries, Sweden now, Norway now, everyone is starting to push back. And the World Economic Forum, they're masters. They're anti-Western, anti-Christian, evil bastard controllers are losing ground. We're pushing them back. So this evil force that's out there, and if you know who they are, they're the World Economic Forum, folks. They're the globalist billionaires that run banks and countries and financial institutions. They run it all at the top in the political systems. They could have easily just nuked the United States of America. They could have nuked Miami, New York, Kansas City, San Francisco. They could have nuked anywhere. Washington, D.C., Boston, Pittsburgh. They could have nuked America, which would have confused the world, scared the world into ignoring this Muslim bullshit, because now we've got to worry about where did the nuke come from? Who did it? Why did they do it? Is anyone else at risk? Right? If you remember, and I do, because I was alive at the time, I remember Waco, Texas, an attack on a religious group in Texas. They were called every dirty name in the book. Were accused of pedophilia being the justification for going in there and slaughtering and killing over 24 children and over 24 adults, murdering them in cold fucking blood. It was a false flag. All because of guns? That's right, the ATF started it. And don't worry, they brought in Delta Force, they brought in the military, violated Posse Comitatus, and we were told by Janet El Reno, Attorney General at the time, that we have to go in and fight these people for the children. That was a false flag. People bought it. The next false flag, Oklahoma City bombing. They blew up a fucking building, blamed it on patriotic Americans, said it was the militias that did it. It did what they wanted it to. It killed the militia movement for approximately 5 to 10 years. But guess what also that did? That was a false flag, blamed it on patriots, but it blew up all the evidence of Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton's Whitewater investigation, all of their illegal dealings. So they're off the hook. The next false flag, this one was not just national, it was international. And what was it? It was 9/11. The whole world, collectively, we all stopped. We all realized, holy cow, this can get really big really fast. They brought down 3 skyscrapers with 2 jets. And all 3 buildings were designed and engineered and manufactured and built to withstand direct impacts from multiple airline jets. Yet 3 buildings fell because 2 buildings were hit by jets. They still refused to address that. But what happened? The world was scared. The world was like, oh my God. But they also hit the Pentagon. And they destroyed all of the evidence, all of the accounting, all of the paperwork that had to do with the $2.5 trillion of money that the Pentagon, the U.S. military, lost, could not account for. The day before 9/11, Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld said, I don't know about that money. Don't know what to do about it. Don't have any idea. Can't answer the questions. They started being asked. So they blew it the fuck up. We don't have the information anymore. Same way we lost Hillary Clinton's information. But 9/11 woke the world up, did it not? Scared everybody. Shut everyone up. Oh my God. Gave us a new enemy to focus on. Oh, they've diagnosed folks using artificial intelligence, computers, as well as other experts, linguistic experts. They have reviewed the cockpit tapes coming from the people that supposedly hijacked those jets. And guess what language they spoke? Or rather, what accent they had. They did not have Arabic accents. You know what accents they found? Israeli accents. Yeah. But we had people from Saudi Arabia. Well, their passports floated down from the crash or where the plane hit. Unburnt, uncharged, still intact. So we knew who the bad guys were. And they found that the jet engines that smashed into the Twin Towers. But whoops, the jet engines that they found on the ground were not the same ones that belonged to the jets that hit the building. I guess they dropped off the wrong jet engines. In other words, false flag. Never mind the investigation later proved they were the wrong engines, proved there's no way that passport could have made it, proved that the people flying the jets were not Arabs, proved all kinds of shit. It doesn't matter. The immediate effect is what I'm talking about. That doing a false flag, especially international, targeting the West, people with morals and decency, it fucks them up. So they could have nuked the United States, confused and scared the world into ignoring the Muslim invasion and creating whoever the new problem is. They could have nuked America, blamed Iran, said they got the nukes from Russia and China, and completely put the world at odds with Russia, China, and Iran and North Korea. But they didn't. It's too late for that. And the world now, all of Europe, all of the United Kingdom, Canada, America, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, we're waking up to what is happening and who is doing it. Who is doing it, right? Why it's being done to replace the white population, to replace the Christian belief system, to replace our civilization with third world mindless rape and bullshit from these people. But the world is also waking up to who is doing this. It's opening our eyes. We know who is doing it. It is the globalist elite. It is Klaus Schwab's World Economic Forum. Because they come out and they release publicly, my friends, what they believe. There's too much population. We need to kill everyone. We want to use vaccines to do it, to sterilize people. right? We want to introduce things that cause people to not eat meat, drugs, disease, pandemic, food shortages, fuel shortages, energy shortages. We want to put shit in the sky. We want to poison their water. We need to control the population. You know why? Because the World Economic Forum knows who they are. They know we're figuring out who the fuck they are, and they're afraid of us. They're afraid of us. They're absolutely afraid of us. All right, folks, what do you want to talk about? It is your show. It's Sunday Night Live. Super chat button is right up there. Right up there. Now, in America, it's pretty funny in a way that the bad guys, the fucking bad guys, blew their opportunity with the Carmelo Anthony case. I think that they were hoping that without paying people money, that the teen takeover groups, the BLM, Black Lives Matter, and Antifa would instantly start rioting when, Carmelo Anthony was found guilty. They were hoping for it, but they didn't pay any money, did they? BLM is now actually upset because they found out that they're being used. And people that sent money to Black Lives Matter and people that sent money to Carmelo Anthony's defense fund, they all found out they've been fucking screwed. They've been hornswoggled. They were bullied. They were lied to. That money didn't do a fucking thing to help the black community. They went into a bunch of fucking Marxist hands, and all they did was blow it on themselves. We had one of these retarded left-wing protesters get arrested the other day, I think at the ICE facility, screaming, "I want my money from George Soros." Clearly letting us know George Soros and his piece of shit son, Alex Soros, are doing what? Funding anti-American, anti-freedom, illegal, criminal fucking organizations that are violating the law. Why is George Soros and his son Alex Soros and his fucking Soros Foundation and his Soros everything, why aren't they being, frozen? Why aren't their bank accounts fucking frozen? If the United States government can freeze Russian assets in US dollars, not just a few million, $350 billion. The U.S. government has frozen $350 billion in T-bills owned by Russia. They can't spend them. They can't access them because guess what? It was digital money. Digital. They can freeze your digital. If they can do that, why can't they freeze George Soros? Why can't they freeze all of these international terrorists? And folks, for the last 20 fucking years, our government, the American government, has actually found U.S. banks, international banks, laundering money for these criminal fucking organizations, these drug dealers, these terrorist organizations. They're catching them here and there, and they're freezing. Why the fuck isn't Wachovia? Look up Wachovia laundering money for fucking terrorists. Bank of America, Wells Fargo. Why can't they, if they can freeze them, why don't they just take them out to get them out of business? Fuck you guys. Same with George Soros. Why? Because they're all playing a game. They're all playing a fucking game. They thought that the world would explode in fire over Carmelo Anthony. Guess what? I saw more videos of black people saying, fuck them, fuck Carmelo, fuck all these ghetto slimes, fuck that community that thinks that they should kill white people because this piece of shit, Carmelo Anthony, murdered in cold fucking blood a nice kid, Austin Metcalf. But guess what? The Carmelo Anthony case had a judge. The judge made sure it was a fair hearing. It was a fair case with a fair trial and a fucking, what do you call it? A jury deliberation. The jury found him guilty. They did the sentencing. It all worked, well, like the justice system. But guess what? The judge, guess how the judge in the Carmelo Anthony case described this cold-blooded, racist, murdering sack of shit. Know what he called him? Nice kid. He's a nice kid. The fuck he is. He is a cold-blooded, racist, murderous piece of shit. How the fuck is that even mentally possible for a judge? This proved a couple things for me. It proved that the judge was just doing his job. He did it right, so he's not the bad guy, but they expected the left-wing retards to go into full burn mode, and it didn't happen. We do have people being assaulted, slapped, beat, hit, yelled, attacked, tormented by these various left-wing retarded idiots from the ghetto, attacking white people and calling them names, but they didn't go into St. George Floyd mode. I mean, I haven't seen any buildings with tarantula head Carmelo Anthony's face on them. It proved to me that the judge figured that's what was going to happen. But guess what? The powers that be, they didn't fund it properly. Nope. They didn't put out their people. They didn't commit the violence. They didn't do all the things they needed to do to get the consequences, the results, to get us distracted from what's going on in Iran with Israel and distracted with what's going on in Europe, getting these illegals out. They wanted us fighting amongst ourselves again. But I'm going to say this, just like in El Salvador, where President Bukele is, he removed all the judges there because they sucked. All these judges, folks, every last American judge needs to be removed, and they need to be tested thoroughly, and they need to be only reinstated if they pass a freedom test, a constitutional test, and an IQ test, because we don't need any low IQ fucking judges pushing their racist bullshit, communist, anti-American crap in our country anymore. Super chat button right up here, folks. I've got a really quick one for you. To me, this following story sounds like our government. Sounds like the bad guys. They're fucking stupid. They're missing really important steps, right? Get this. At a thrill ride attraction, the workers there threw a woman off a bridge. She was a thrill-seeking woman. They picked her up and they took her and they threw her off this bridge in Brazil. But guess what they forgot to do? They forgot to attach the rope to her foot. You know, bungee cords. You got to tie the rope to your leg for the bungee cords to work. They just picked this fucking lady up and chucked her off a fucking bridge. That's just like government in action. They got an idea in their head. They're imagining it working great, but they don't go through all the steps to make it a successful fucking deal. Oh my God. Can you imagine that shit? You can't do what they do. Good God, what a fucking mess. Wow. Thank you, Chin Music. I just got your message. Yes, she is the message. Okay. Oh, here we are. We got Big Dan the Man checking back in for his second super chat donation. Super chat button right up there. Folks, we're an hour and 10 minutes into the show. We've got another 50 minutes to go. Super chat donations get you on the screen. And folks, Sunday Night Live, it's your show. It's your channel. It's your news. You can share whatever you want. Even if you think I won't agree with it, super chat button, I'll put you on the screen. I'll talk about it. I'll agree. I'll disagree. I'll counter it. I'll share it. Free speech, not stupid speech. Free speech. And I think there's a difference. Some people come on here thinking they can just scream and yell all kinds of dumb shit. No, I don't like stupid speech, right? No fucking way. But I will do free speech. And I will have a scotch. Big Dan says, if Trump just cut off Ukraine and Israel, who are the aggressors in those wars, time out. Dan is 100% correct. Ukraine is the aggressor in the war against Russia. Someone might say, but John, Russia invaded eastern Ukraine. We have to stop and go, why? Because Ukraine was using their military to attack ethnic Russians and do ethnic cleansing and genocide in eastern Ukraine, which is and was back then habitated by ethnic Russians. They were being attacked in an effort to provoke Russia. And it worked. It worked. So Russia moved in, pushed back the Ukraine military back over towards Kiev. And then those areas that were invaded and mauled and ethnically cleansed by Ukraine's military, the Nazi Azov battalion, they were literally and still are literally Nazis. They were Nazis in World War II. They're Nazis today. But they gave those people in those territories the opportunity to vote. Do you want to stay with Ukraine or Russia? Ukraine or Russia? Ukraine, they voted to go to Russia. So Russia is no longer the invading force. But Ukraine was the original aggressor. And they're the ones sending drones far into Russia. Now, Israel is the aggressor in the Iranian war. Israel told the United States, you're our bitch, you're going to fight with us against Iran. Because Iran could have a nuclear weapon any day now, any week now. In a couple of months, they're going to have a nuke. Even though Bibi Netanyahu has literally, folks, been saying that since the 1980s, through the 1990s, into the 2000s, into the 2000 teens, and here we are in the 2020s, saying the same thing. Over 40 years, Bibi has been saying, Iran is going to have nuclear weapons. We need to attack them now. So they did. Dan is right. Ukraine and Israel are the aggressors in these wars. But if Trump cut off Ukraine and Israel, says Big Dan the man, we could save Social Security. We could rebuild our infrastructure. Instead, we're spending billions in other countries' wars. Totally dumb. I can't agree with you more. I am sick of seeing and hearing about trillions of dollars being spent in foreign wars. The Gulf Wars, right? Desert Storm 1, Desert Storm 2, Iraqi freedom. I am not denigrating or putting down our military and what they did under orders from the president and Congress and the rest of the world to go in there and try and fight back the evil, bad people. But what did we do? We gave Iraq back to the Iraqis. And what did Iraqis do? They hate America. We gave Afghanistan back to the Taliban, the very bunch of backwards ass, goat fucking Muslims that controlled Afghanistan prior to our invasion. And we gave it right back to them, plus $85 billion in equipment, an airbase, aircraft, fuel, tanks, trucks, bombs, missiles, rockets, drones, equipment, uniforms, weapons, guns, bucket. And apparently our government, the current government, which includes Trump and a Republican House of Representatives and a Republican Senate, apparently they give, what, 40 or is it $45 million a week? Is it a week or a month? I can't fucking remember. To these fuckheads. To these fuckheads in the Middle East. They're still giving them to the Taliban. Every week, every month, for years, we've been giving them money. Why? We could fix Social Security. We could pay down the national debt. We could rebuild our infrastructure. We could make our country better. Hell, we could even make it great again. But what is Trump doing? What is Congress doing? Are they doing what we want, the Americans? We don't want our money going overseas. We don't want our money giving the Israeli military their retirement funds while our military men are homeless, injured, suffering from PTSD, and fucking ignored, living on the fucking streets. It's horrifying. It's heartbreaking. And it's a great topic, Big Dan. Thank you very much for that. What's on your mind, folks? Super chat button right up there will get you down here, just like Big Dan. Our country is being neglected while these rich fucks take care of themselves. And they send money overseas, to Ukraine, to Israel, to the fucking Taliban. In the billions and hundreds of billions of dollars a year, our money's being wasted. Hell, is being sent in our own country to what? The Somalis, all of these illegal immigrants here and their leering centers, their healthcare centers, their home healthcare. Why do they have home healthcare centers, folks? That way they don't have to buy a hospital and pay doctors and pay staff and pay for a building and pay for fucking parking and pay for electricity and pay for gas and pay for electricity. No, they don't have to pay for any of that. They have home health services where they claim that they're sending nurses and healthcare practitioners to the homes of the people they're servicing. It's a fucking scam. Billions of dollars. And the complaint used to be that these Mexican farmhands that come to America, they make 20, 25, 30 bucks an hour working on a farm. They take the money they get. They keep what they need to survive in America and send the rest home to Mexico. We used to be upset about that. A couple million here, a couple million there. Now we give money to these Somalis. Oh, yeah. And these Yemenis. And all of these scumbags from around the world. Pakistan, India. And they steal our money by the billions. And they send it back to their countries. Now a lot of them are getting arrested. Good. They need to be arrested. But guess what? They're not really stopping it. Judges. Oh yeah, here we go again with judges who need to be fired, tested, have their cases reviewed, and if they're seen to be unconstitutional and releasing criminals into the public, they need to be thrown in jail. That's what they did in El Salvador, folks. They threw the judge. They didn't just fire the judges. They threw them in fucking prison. The corrupt ones went in prison. Same with the corrupt government officials and lobbyists in prison. Guess what? They don't have any more corruption. And when they find them, they throw them right in jail with all the drunken drug lords and cartels. There you go, bitches. You want to play on that team? You can live with them. Here we are in this country, folks. They're still giving away your money. Oh, yeah. Playing fucking games. But it's not just the judges down here, folks. It's the government up here. Get this fucking story. I want to hear what you guys want to talk about. I've got a bunch of stuff I want to talk about. What do you want to talk about? Super chat up here. We've got down below Venmo, CashApp, PayPal. That's how you can be on the board right now. We've got close to 300 people live right now, folks. This is now and always has been an extremely successful show. You know what's going to keep it from being ultimately successful and waking everyone up? Fear. People are afraid. They don't want to, and not you guys that are here, but people are afraid. They're afraid of our government. They're afraid of the FBI. They're afraid of Israel. They're afraid of Europe. They're afraid of Canada. They're afraid of England. Because all these other countries are arresting people for speaking up. Well, if you're in another country and you comment here, you won't be in trouble with me. But people are afraid, folks. Fear is paralyzing. Don't be fearful. We have a First Amendment. It's right here. Say what you want. Say what you want. Say what needs to be said. It's really important, folks. If we don't, they will kill us. Literally kill us. Lots of comments out there. You guys are doing really good in there. Super chat buttons up here. But right now, I want to tell you about the hypocrisy, the lies, the bullshit coming from government at the very top. In the English Channel, folks, the British military has captured and seized a Russian oil tanker that's in the English Channel. So they send the military out, they send out their Navy to stop a Russian oil tanker. But they won't stop illegal immigrants coming across by the boatloads, hundreds at a time in boats. Some of the boats are smaller, dozens in smaller boats, literally hundreds in larger boats. The British soldiers, the British Navy can stop an oil tanker, but they won't stop the illegals. What does that tell you about the government, the British government? What they'll allow is to be invaded by a bunch of low IQ, raping Muslims. Meanwhile, all of the United Kingdom is up in arms. And so they're continuing to send over young military-aged men, no women, no children, sending them over by the boatloads to fight the English, the Scots, and the Irish. But here we are. They captured a Russian ship. Do you think that's a good idea? Do you think that's a good idea? I don't. So I'm going to ask this question here. Do you think Russia is going to allow this? What is going to be the Russian response? Is it going to be diplomatic? Is it going to be with force? Or does all Russia have to do is go, okay, you want to capture our ships in international waters in the English Channel? How about if we cut off the oil and the gas that we're supplying Europe with? If they do that, it's going to cause prices to go up because they're going to have to get their oil and their gas from somewhere. America? England? Does England really think they can supply themselves and all of Europe? Basically, right now, England is cutting the throat of Europe. Literally. And if it came to a military response from Russia, England cannot withstand a missile attack of any sort from Russia. And Russia can attack England anytime they want with their missile systems. And folks, World War II, we're talking back almost 100 years. World War II, 1939 to 1945. The Germans proved that the English on an island, they can't stop air attacks. Hello, England. It's not the 1800s, right? You are not impervious to attack. So what do you and I do? Well, I hope Russia doesn't unload on the English people. And I know, folks, I know that a lot of people believe, and Hillbilly here says, fuck all, Putin is playing his part. I believe he might be. He was, when he was younger, part of the World Economic Forum Youth Club back in the 90s. But he hasn't allowed a full invasion of his country by third world Muslims. He hasn't allowed the banking cabal that runs Europe into his country. And I know for a fact, folks, that the powers that be, the World Economic Forum, who are in charge of the banks, who are in charge of Western nations, who are in charge of all the corporations, they hate Russia because it's independent. So you can say, yes, Putin is playing his part. But is he intentionally playing his part? Or is it that's what his response is? So Big German Prepared says Russia doesn't have the means to expand the war. What would they need to punish England for stealing one of their tankers? A couple of hypersonic missiles, right? That's eye for an eye. Not you took my eye, so I'm going to gouge out your heart, cut your head off, and fucking dismember you. I'm not saying Russia wants to do that. I'm just saying they could punish them. And nobody could stop them. Let's see. Now, Simon says Russian oligarchs have safe haven in Israel. Well, sure, if they're Jewish, he writes. Once again, here we are. And this is where the confusion comes in. This is where all of us thinking independently comes in. You don't, and again, don't agree with me because I'm saying the words. Do your homework, look it up, come to your own conclusions. I don't see Russia as the aggressor. I see them as responding. Yes, they're playing a part, but is it voluntarily or involuntarily? If Russia wanted to fall in line with the World Economic Forum and all of the other oligarchs that run the rest of the world outside of Russia, they would give in. They would have a non-Russian banking system. If Russia really was on their side, they would allow themselves to be invaded by Muslims, and they would have, well, Eastern Orthodox Christian churches getting burned the same way Catholic churches and Protestant churches are being burned by Muslims in Europe. Hundreds of churches have been burned down, including giant cathedrals like Notre Dame in Paris. And over in Japan, they've started letting in Muslims, and guess what they're doing? They're burning Japanese shrines because they're haram, right? It's not Muslim. Well, of course not. They're fucking Japanese, you idiots. So Northern Hillbilly does respond, and he says, I agree, John, but the KGB, once KGB, always KGB. Same with the CIA or FBI, right? Once you're big government, you're always big government. But he continues, says, once you're KGB, you're always KGB, communist side, baby face, World Economic Forum part. Well, I don't really know what all that means, but yes, Putin was KGB. Head of KGB, ended up taking control of Russia. Russia was already being punished and sanctioned by the Americans and by the Europeans. And they've been being punished and punished and punished. And Russia has had to maintain its independence. Well, if it could, but it didn't want to sign on with Russia did not want to sign on with the world banking system, the Rothschild banking system that controls the Federal Reserve in America, controls the European Central Bank, because they own the Federal Reserve and they own the European Central Bank. Russia didn't want to be a part of that. So ever since then, they have suffered. They have suffered because the rest of the world's not allowed to trade with them openly. But guess what the rest of the world does? They get their fuel, their oil, and their gas from Russia, don't they? Which helps support Russia. What else does the world get from Russia? They get enriched, fabricated, processed uranium fuel for their nuclear reactors on the rest of the planet. So Russia is so fucking evil. Russia is so fucking evil that the world gets their energy from them. But they want to call Russia bad. They want to call Russia evil. They're not communist anymore, folks. In fact, they are less socialist than socialist Europe. And all a socialist is a communist that's taking their time. And all a communist is a socialist in a big fucking hurry. Yes, there are oligarchs. Yes, Russia is dirty. Yes, Russia has fucked up mafia and gangs and side deals and corruption. I get it. But they're not part of the World Economic Forum, Rothschild banking system, and cartel. That's a fact. All right. Well, it's a fact as far as I see it. You guys decide for yourselves. Great fucking topic. Great topic. We're 90 minutes into the show, folks. If you've got something to say, super chat button is right up there. Right up there. Thepreparedmind.club is where you go to get the links to send you to whatever website is necessary. So you get food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, communications equipment, solar power, generator backup. Get prepared, folks. Get prepared. We've got a bunch of shit coming our way. This is your show. It is Sunday Night Live. What do you want to talk about? What do you want to talk about? I haven't talked about the LGBTQIA pedophiles in a while. There is no way, and by the way, in Russia, they don't allow Pride Month, rainbow flags, faggotry of that size. They don't do it. It is illegal. It's not allowed. Their Eastern Orthodox Christian culture and country and laws and society don't allow it. But here in America, it's allowed. So get this, right? How do you explain mental disorder? I say, look, mental disorder is mental disorder. It knows no age limit. It knows no limits. And here's the story. A transgender serial killer, folks. How old is this guy? In his 20s? He's a serial killer in his 30s? Elderly, folks. Elderly. Harvey Marcelin is an elderly transgender serial killer. Elderly, folks. We're talking in his, I think his fucking 80s. I think he's 80 fucking 8. Has been sentenced to life without parole. He's 88 years old. And he's a transgender. That means he has been fucked up his whole life in his head. 3 brutal murders, dismemberment of victims. And he says, quote, he says he would kill again. He would kill again. He's a transgender serial fucking killing. Whoa. It knows no limit in age, in gender, nothing. It is a mental. And this guy, folks, has been killing for a long time. Who knows how many other people he's killed, and they don't know who did it. So remember, folks, that group is not gone. They have not left the scene. All transgenders, regardless of age, they're sick in the fucking head. It's a mental disorder. They're fucked up. And all they're doing is waiting to be offended and or find an opportunity to hurt other people, including other transgenders and other homosexuals, because that's who they spend their time around. But they also interact with the public, and they're waiting to be offended. Prove me wrong on that one. I've been saying it for fucking years. These people are sick in the fucking head. The evidence, we are overwhelmed with the evidence of people who are more than willing to kill everybody and then lie about it and even play the fucking victim. How many times have we heard from a transgender murderer that claims that they were being genocided? The only one genociding them is themselves. We've had transgenders attack gay bars and kill people because their feelings were hurt by other gay and tranny people. Unbelievable, folks. In fact, speaking of people who are victims, how about this one that's vindicated, right? Remember that little girl over in the UK? She was being harassed by a migrant. So she pulled out a small axe or hatchet and a knife and held them up like, get away or I'll get you, right? Remember how she was attacked by government, by the media, by the left wing, and by, of course, the immigrant population? Oh my God, she's threatening immigrants. Well, the migrant who was harassing that little girl has now been convicted, right? The Dundee Axe Girl case. He blamed, right? He blamed the girls. Well, it turns out in court that he was stalking, right, them, making advances at them, sexually threatening them. He's now been convicted. Good. England, little too late. We all know. We all understood. But they went through the process. They fucking proved everything. Right. They're pushing their shit. Nations are going broke. Nations are being pushed into war. Right now, Ukraine is being pushed into world war with Russia by the European Union and NATO, and of course, they're money masters at the World Economic Forum. But something else has happened there. And I find this fascinating. It gives me a little bit of hope. Not only did, as I told you at the beginning of the show, not only did Trump tell Israel again, remember last week, Trump told Netanyahu, you're fucking crazy, and the world hates you, Netanyahu, and the world hates Israel, Netanyahu. But now he's come out and said, yeah, you don't understand. You don't get it. Same with Europe. Europe doesn't get it. The United States supported NATO since World War II ended. Since NATO was created, the United States has always been the backup. But the United States government, military, is now withdrawing 1/3 of its NATO fighter jets and other deep strike capabilities. In other words, the United States is withdrawing out of Europe. Good. Number one, we can't afford it. We need to quit supporting NATO, quit supporting Ukraine, and Israel too. We need to quit giving other people our military and paying. Now, get this, folks, every military base around the world, and there are over 200, I think it's over 250 bases. I can't even remember anymore. Whether it's Navy base, Air Force base, Army base, doesn't matter. All these bases, we have to pay for the creation, the building, the maintenance, the upkeep, right? We have to pay for the electricity, the heating, everything there. And everyone gets paid, everyone on these bases, and they use local businesses, local suppliers. And everyone who's on that base, when they leave the base for liberty or leave, if you will, they go out and they travel through Europe and they shop in the European towns. They spend American money all over the world. But here we're talking about Europe, NATO Europe. All of those countries are not going to get money directly from the United States. They're not going to get military contracts from the United States. They're not going to get Americans spending their money at and around these military bases because of what's going on. And yes, the U.S. is, well, it's to withdraw. It's being told this is going to happen. And I see it as a good thing. We need to quit being everyone's backup bully and paying for it as well, because it's not doing us a bit of fucking good. It's not doing a bit of fucking good. I can't afford a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, but the Ukrainian oligarchs can, and the German oligarchs can, and the British oligarchs can, and the Austrian oligarchs, because they're getting all of our money through all of these fucking giveaways. I'm sick of the giveaways, in other words. Sick of the giveaways. And speaking of Germans, and I haven't spent any time today, I've talked about pedophiles, I've talked about transgenders and homosexuals being fucked up in the head, but I have not talked about the Epstein class. I have not forgotten about it for one fucking second, folks. It's the same people that run the banks. It's the same people that run the corporations. It's the same people at the World Economic Forum. It's the same people in Israel. The same fucking people are the Epstein clients, Epstein allies, and Epstein bosses. And they're back in the news in a new way. And I want to share that with you. But believe me, I have not forgot. And anytime I see anything in social media, I'd be sure to give it a thumbs up if it talks about Epstein and what's going on to help push the algorithm. It's like giving a thumbs up on this show. It tells the algorithm this is important. Now, folks, there's evidence of, or continuing evidence of child kidnapping and sexual prostitution. Get this, after 11 years missing, 11 years missing, a young German model's name has come up. She just disappeared 11 years ago. She was a model. She is a woman. She is German. She was very young. She was missing. But guess where she's turned up at? Oh, she did not turn up, folks. in Little St. James Island. Nope. She didn't turn up in America. She didn't turn up in England. She has not turned up down in the Middle East in the United Arab Emirates or Saudi. No, she didn't turn up there. Guess where she turned up? Her name turned up in the Epstein files after her disappearance, meaning she disappeared, and all of a sudden, people in the Epstein world are talking about her, which tells me very clearly that she got sucked into the Epstein world and was being used by Epstein's clients. And Epstein's clients are politicians, bankers, financiers, billionaires, international politicians, and royalty. Her family now is saying she's fearing that she was killed by these sex traffickers. And to be in the Epstein files means exactly what everyone knows. No doubts. And even though Epstein was arrested and then he died, you think that it's ended? What did we have happen this week? I think it was 50-something kids. 50-something fucking kids started popping out of tunnels under New York City. And not only were these 50-something kids, they just started escaping. It's very interesting that they started escaping out of these tunnels. But guess what kind of school they went to? A Jewish school. Why are Jewish school kids running around in underground tunnels in New York City and then popping up through holes? Now, before that, several days, remember when we saw the video of men popping up manholes and climbing out of these tunnels. And people are like, they're planting bombs. They're doing something evil. They're bad. Maybe those guys that were down there in the tunnels, maybe they were opening doors, unlocking doors, because days later, children started escaping out of these tunnels. Were these children being held captive? Have you noticed? Nothing in the news about it. Not a fucking peep since it initially came out. Sex traffickers, folks. Child rapists. Child murderers. Was it 2 years ago? We had the Chabad Lubavitch synagogue. The police busted them. Fucking Jews scattered like crazy. They're climbing up through tunnels, pushing machines out of the way, climbing out of grates, escaping. In the tunnels, they found high chairs and bloody mattresses and all kinds of weird shit. And that story went bye-bye. Understand, folks. Understand. They're not going away. None of them are going away. And people are finding missing people showing up in the Epstein files. Why do you think they do not want to release the last, what is it? Is it now 2.5 million or is it 3.5 million? It used to be 4.5 million documents, but our government, the United States government, is hiding it. Big Dan the Man. $2 super chat donation. He gets the hat trick for the day. First one to get 3 super chats in is Big Dan the Man. He says, no doubt. Why has Putin spared Zelensky from death? Why has Putin spared Zelensky from death? That's a great question. I would like to know. Is it because he doesn't know where he's at? Is it because there are, and Zelensky is he is a fruitcake, but he looks just like every other little tiny piece of shit scumbag. And these masks are amazing. The masks are amazing. These super latex Mission Impossible masks. And Mission Impossible introduced it 20 years ago. You put the mask over your head, you tuck in the extra stuff, and you don't know who you're looking at. Right? We had that former CIA guy a couple of weeks ago. It's like 2 or 3 weeks ago. He had a flap hanging out in front of his fucking collar while he was on CNN, mainstream media news. But I noticed his eyes were too close. He was missing a scar on his fucking head. His skin was just a little too smooth. Yeah. Zelensky. This is an interesting comment. I'd like to share this. Christina says, Zelensky, why kill him? Meaning, why would Putin kill him? Zelensky alone has done more damage to the West than anything else. I'd keep him. And we'll put in the words, if I were Putin. See, here's why I believe I don't think Putin wants us to all die. You think Putin wants Europe overrun by Muslims and America and Canada and Australia in Japan? Do you think that Putin wants Christianity and white people wiped out? If he did that and we were all replaced and in our countries with all of our military, including nuclear weapons, everything we have, do you think Putin would want that to fall in the hands of a bunch of anti-white, anti-Christian psychopaths? No. So, I mean, it's a valid question. I really like that. Zelensky alone has done more damage to the West than anything else. If Putin were to take out Zelensky, has Europe and America said, if you assassinate Putin, we're going to nuke you, or there'll be a wider war? Could that stop Putin? Or has Putin sat back and said, they can't be that fucking stupid. They're going to get hurt and they're going to figure it out and they're going to learn. But look, even without Putin, even without Zelensky, Europe is being destroyed by European politicians. Leave Zelensky out of this. Europe is doing it all on their own. If Putin kills Zelensky, that won't stop all of Europe from inviting in more and more and more and more ridiculous, retarded, fucked up Muslims. Same with America, same with Canada, same with Australia, same with New Zealand, same with Japan. They're going to continue to do it. So taking out Zelensky only solves the Zelensky problem of Zelensky and Russia. It doesn't fix Europe. But I understand the point, and it's a very interesting point. If Putin wanted Europe fucked up, he would leave Zelensky in there so that we could continue to fund and destroy and waste our money and kill our own people. Well, Zelensky's killing Ukrainian people. So, the unprepared mind, and thank you for your 2 super chats. You're one away from the hat trick yourself. Maybe all the higher ups in the world are all in this together. The answer is, I believe, yes. But does that include Russia and China? I don't know. How does Europe destroying itself help Russia? Well, it removes a military threat, but it introduces a religious threat, and a religious or a Muslim religious Europe is a retarded Europe. Once you invite third world stupid, that brings down the whole continent. They quit buying Russian oil and Russian gas because they've ruined their fucking economies and ruined their infrastructure, and nothing works. It'll become like Afghanistan or Iraq, where everything is fucked up. They have 5% of the cars, 5% of the power plants, 5% of anything, right? It'll hurt Russia's business because Europe is funding Russian prosperity. So, yeah, it kind of fucks that up, right? It just does. It's an interesting phenomena. Now, we've got 10 minutes left. If you got something to say, this week is coming, full steam ahead. We've got possible revolution in Ireland, Scotland, England, and of course over on the continent as well in Europe. It's getting nasty. But I wanted you, this is a giant fucking mess. I'm going to hit this because if you were Zelensky, wouldn't you do anything to protect your country? Zelensky's country is Israel, not Ukraine. Living in Ukraine, he is an Israeli, period. Done. So lie, cheat, steal. He's doing everything he can to kill every fucking Ukrainian he can. And guess what they're doing? Guess who they're importing into Ukraine now? Figure it out. Get back to me. I know who the fucking bad guys are. I know what they're doing. I know who is destroying what country. What's important is that we all share opinions like this so we can talk about it. I love it. I love these comments. They're great because it has come up again and again and again that Zelensky is an Israeli, that he doesn't give a shit about Ukraine. He's actually, yes, Israeli Jewish, meaning he's a Talmudist. He's homosexual. He loves transgenderism. That falls right in line with everything Israeli, because that's what they believe. And they want their revenge on the world, folks. Wake up. We've got to wake up to what is being done to our countries, our culture, our belief system. We are subjected to propaganda 24/7. Our own countries punish us when we don't agree with the government. So I don't agree with my government. I don't agree with England's government. I don't agree with the European Union. I don't agree with the Ukraine government. I don't agree with the Israeli government. I don't agree with any fucking government's opinion. The reason I don't agree with them is I don't trust any of them, including my own fucking government, because they've done false flags against us. And I named them earlier. Waco, Texas, Ruby Ridge, Oklahoma City bombing, 9/11, Boston bombing, Sandy Hook, Aurora, Colorado. Then we had Uvalde in Texas. Every last one of these false fucking flags is to give the government more power, more control, and to demonize America and try and steal our fucking Constitution. Over in Europe, they're doing the same thing to their own fucking people. They've invited in invaders. These invaders are destroying the culture, the religion, the country, the traditions, and the laws. Who does it benefit? And this is really what it comes down. And I love this, guys, because we're all learning together. And I learn every fucking day. I learn from you guys. I may disagree. I may agree. I may partially agree, but I'm learning from you. Who benefits? If Europe falls and fails and falls under Muslim control and they turn Europe into a third world shithole like fucking Africa, like the Middle East, like the Far East, they turn it into a fucking shithole. Guess what? Russia loses. So Russia doesn't benefit from this. Ultimately, Russia loses a source of income and a shared culture, a Christian religious culture. They share that in common. They have nothing in common with radical Islam. So who benefits? Who benefits from a weakened Europe? Who benefits from a weakened North American Union? Who benefits from a weakened Pacific Rim, meaning New Zealand, Japan, and Australia? Who benefits, folks? Who benefits? Key bono. Who benefits from us fighting each other? Who gets money, power, autonomy, and revenge? Who wants revenge on Europe? Who wants revenge on America? Who? If you listen to what rabbis say, if you listen to what the bankers say, they get their revenge by destroying us. Muslims get their revenge on Europe and America if we fall, because they were defeated, folks, in World War II. They were defeated in World War I, the Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire was fighting wars in the 1800s. The communists have been fighting wars. The socialists have been fighting wars since the early 1800s all the way up through to today. If they can cause Europe and America to fall, the only thing stopping them is Christian unity. The only thing stopping them, folks, is our free market or constitutional republic system. We don't have a free market anymore, and they're trying to destroy our constitution, our anti-communist constitutional republic. So here we are, 5 minutes left on the show. And guess who shows up? Blue Cord Devil with a $50 super chat donation, which means I get an 18-year scotch to wrap up the show. Oh, yeah. It's our 250th anniversary, folks. Blue Cord Devil, thank you, sir. He says, peace and prayers, John, Jolene, Uman, and everyone else here. Watch your six. Stay calm. Yes. Stay armed. Yes. Have a drink. You bet. Prost. He says, had a great meet and greet with Luke Thompson yesterday. He, like myself and others, have been here, meaning on the Prepared Mind channel, for over a decade. Keep up the fight. Well, Blue Cord, Luke, and all of you who have been here as far back as December of 2013. God bless you all. God bless America. God bless freedom-loving people. God bless peace-loving people. But remember, wanting peace up here in your head, having peace in your heart, will not stop an enemy who has no peace, who has a tarnished soul, who hates goodness and forgiveness and decency. People who believe they're superior to you, that their religion is superior to you, and they're willing to kill you over it by invading your country, by corrupting your politicians, by destroying a country and using propaganda and lies. That is who the enemy is. And I, as a Christian man, am under no obligation to bend the knee or bow to a religion that fucking hates me, hates my country, hates my people, hates my laws, hates my culture, and openly insults Christianity and God. You can see by their actions, you can know a tree by its fruit. In other words, the actions of countries that hate us show us who they are. They are our enemies. You can see that the other religions that believe they're superior to you fucking hate you. And they'll do everything in the world to lie to us. They'll say, I'm your friend, while they stab you in the back. They'll say, I'm on your side, while they steal your money. They'll say, I'm with you. Let's go fight our enemy that we have. And they'll drag us into their wars. They'll say, you should hate this country or that country, or this people or that people. And then they'll send those exact same people to fight us. That's what's happening in this world today. There's no reason that we should have Muslims invading Europe, the Americas, Australia, and the Pacific. There's no reason for it. It serves no benefit to anyone except those who fucking hate us. So again, I'm going to say to everyone, find out, learn for yourself, prove it. Who hates us and why? And you'll find out who our enemies are. Our enemies are not just at the gates. They're inside the gates. We have enemies, foreign and domestic. Foreign and domestic, and they're trying to destroy us. First thing you should do, get prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Put together your plan. Understand your enemy. Learn. I said, this is what I do every day. I fucking learn more about who my enemy is and who are my allies. Because if it comes down to it, we could all end up in a Belfast situation. Lickety split. We can all end up in a Ukraine crisis. Just like that. With a couple missiles and an invading army. And for your own benefit, for your own soul. Thank you, Blue Cord Devil. For your own soul. Find out in your heart who you are and what you believe. I trust none of these governments. None of them. Because every time I turn around, governments in my country and governments around the world are trying to fucking screw us. I don't trust governments. These other religions, who wants to kill me? Folks, even in America, at least half the Christian churches are corrupt, and they're chasing after foreign gods. They're chasing after false gods. I don't trust Christian leadership because of that. Why should I? Just like with politics, I can read the Bible for myself. And the golden rule, my friends, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. If someone said, John, I want you to go fight my enemy and use your money and your muscle and your weapons to fight my enemy, I would say to my friend, how can you be my friend if you're telling me to risk my life to fight a war for you that isn't justifiable? That is not my friend. That is not my ally. That is telling me to go fight for them and spend my money and spill my blood. That's not my ally. That's not my friend. I can determine that for myself. I don't need a government or a religion to tell me otherwise, because the facts of the matter, what is going on in this world, are evidence enough of who my friends and who my enemies are. And you guys are my friends. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me on this Sunday Night Live broadcast. I'll be back tomorrow. And if you want, go to thepreparedmind.club. Preparedmind.club. And we'll be there Monday through Friday. Subscribestar.com as well. And you guys can be live with me and talk about what's happening as it happens through the week. And I'll be back again, though, next Sunday. Sunday Night Live. Godspeed to all. Semper Fi means always faithful. Get prepared.